I mean, the 20th century was just a complete meat grinder for our entire culture and civilization. And it just got ripped up, smashed up, blown up, irradiated, undermined, destroyed, and eviscerated. And I miss that staunch tribe. And you're part of one. And the values which are promoted through Christianity, I support those values, a lot of them, a lot of them. There's a lot of focus on kids, a lot of focus on sacrifice. Religious people are twice as likely to give to charity, significantly more likely to volunteer. You know, Christians are willing to give 10% or more of their income to their church. I'm out here on the internet begging for scraps. There is nobility and power and reason because of the Greek tradition, the Roman tradition, St. Augustine tradition. There is reason and philosophy in the heart of the church. This changes nothing of the metaphysics, nothing of the arguments I've made in the past. But as I've gotten older, which is usually what people say before they spout the most inane bullshit, as I've gotten older, I really understand that. And that's not an argument, and I'm fully aware that I'm not making an argument when I say that, but I'm going to say it anyway, because sometimes it's appropriate. As I've gotten older, I've realized that to loose the hearts of men and women from religion prior to a renaissance in philosophy does create a power vacuum that is filled by the worst devils of human possibility. History is so obvious to that I'm embarrassed to have missed it for so long, but you can't get rid of that heroin without some strong methadone, to use a strange way of putting it. But philosophy is still decades away from any kind of significant renaissance in the mind and hearts of mankind. So my question to you is, and my third way to you, Scott, my third way to you is, let's say you wake up tomorrow and you're going to say, that's it, I'm done with this belief system, I'm out, I'm gone, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. My question is, Scott, where would you go?
Or where would I take my family?
Oh, where would you take your family? Who would be your new community?
It would be devastating to my daughter. It would be devastating to my wife. It would be, and my children, and my two younger ones who are 2.5 years old. They will be left an entire lifetime to deal with the mess.
Right. Right. Now, if there was a big, rational community of philosophy that was growing, that was willing to stand for its values, that was willing to support its brightest lights, that was willing to take on the world, that had 0.1% of the courage and generosity of Christians. If there was that community, I'm not saying it would be easy, but there would be a place to go, right?
Yeah.
But to my knowledge, there isn't. So before you leave a place, if you're going to take off from an island in a storm, you need to have some idea where you're going to land, right? Where are you going to go?
I mean, especially where I live, it's...
No, but anywhere. This is what I'm trying to say. Let's say you go to Las Vegas. Let's say you go to Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah,
Let's say you
absolutely.
go. Where are you going to go?
There's nowhere.
What if God becomes invisible to you, as he sounds like he is? God becomes invisible to you, and as God becomes invisible, you see the values which his image transmits as beneficial to the family and to the children. Now, I'm not saying this about all religion. Again, I said this at the beginning. I'm talking about particular subsets of more gentle Christianity, which I believe is more in line with the New Testament episode of the point, right? And this is the third way that I wanted to get across to you, Scott. You will not agree with the methodology of the belief, but you will agree with a lot of the conclusions, and you may in fact agree with more of the conclusions on the Christian side than you would on the secular side. I don't know where I am in that perspective. In skepticism of state power, I am with the Christians. In monogamy, in pair bonding, in delaying of sexual gratification until you can unify and pair bond, I am with the Christians. I am not with the secularists. In the value of spiritual struggle, Jacob wrestling, in the value of the conscience. The conscience is the all-powerful ghost of universally preferable behavior within the mind. In what is good for children, I have almost infinitely more in common with the Christians than I do with the secular left. I am with the data. So, I mean, you're not part of some group that wants to cut their balls off and join the comet going through the sky, right?
No.
You are with a group that focuses on the outcomes that I think you and I would appreciate. You're with a group that does talk daily, if not weekly, about deeper and meaningful issues. Struggling to do good in a challenging world? Well, you know, the thing that bothers me so much about the secular left is they just, you know, they kick over chickens and think they're Mike Tyson. We're against rape. Oh, really? Wow. What moral courage. I'm anti-racist. Well, great. That's a very noble stand to be taking, right? But Christians are willing to take the unpopular stands. Whereas those on the left, you know, they seem to me to be shooting fish in a barrel and think they're Roy Scheider at the end of Jaws. So as far as the struggle, the challenge, the standing for your values, the commitment of your resources, the larger than yourself aspect of Christianity, I find frankly admirable. And would you rather talk morality with an atheist or a Christian?
I already have that answer. I mean, the people that I talk to about you know, the non-aggression principle and that every time that I feel like I'm identifying with atheists around me, those that are pretty obviously atheist, every time I try to identify with them, it's determinism and I'm sorry you believe in free will, or I didn't realize that you still believe in free will, so I guess we can't have this discussion anymore. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I mean, but I don't have those problems with, they don't have this belief that individuals can just be marshaled around And, one person can substitute another person just as easily. And I get that so much with the secular left that I deal with.
And the other thing that I think is ennobling about the Christian perspective is you matter, your choices are real, and your choices are essential. Because, of course, a lot on the left, you're subjugated to these class warfare forces, to these deterministic forces, to these materialistic forces, to these economic forces, to these... You're like a dust mote in a whirlwind. And this is why people want to cling to power. Because they have no power in their individual choices. They are atoms that make up nothing solid, unless they combine with enough political force to create a gravity well and change something. But with Christianity, of course, it's your soul that counts. And you have choice. You are not... There's no excuse when standing in front of St. Peter that says, well, I was a member of the proletariat and I did not own the means of production. So what could I do? I was a mere cog in a giant economic machine, not of my own making. He's going to say, did God give you a will, a choice, a soul, a conscience? Then don't give me this lefty malarkey. Left leads down, he will say. So, well, the other thing too, since I am talking about some evolution, the Christians have history. People on the left don't need to study history, they believe, because it's all about political, social, economic, gender forces in the moment. They don't need to study history. People on the left in the 60s were putting all this free love up, right? And the Christians were all, nope, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, report on the Negro family from the 60s, he said that the welfare state is going to destroy the black family. And a lot of people on the Christian right were talking about the disasters of the welfare state. Is it because they are omniscient? No. Did God tell them? No. They have history. Seeing Netanyahu give a speech talking about the parallels in Jewish history. I think it was Esther who alerted an indifferent king to the dangers of a Persian warlord. And now he's like, and now it's the same thing again. He's trying to wake up Barack Obama to the dangers of an Iranian warlord and all that. Even though the Mossad says they're not doing nuclear. Anyways. But they have, we've been here before. We've learned from history. What do they say? Never again. Never again. But for you to say never again, there has to have been something in the past that parallels something in the present, so you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel all the time. And wait for all the disasters to hit that history is screaming at you are on their way. I mean, Christians know quite a bit about Rome.
Oh, yeah.
Bread and circuses, welfare, easy divorce, sexual license, kaboom.
And it's, the church will have to change. It's not going to dogmatically hold on to that stuff to the bitter end. It's going to change because it's going to see people start leaving.
And the church can change in a way that politics can't. Because politics requires so much money that you have to be bought off before you ever get into the arena, right?
Yeah.
But the church, Martin Luther didn't need $1 billion to affect his change. For better or for worse. I'm just saying that the church can alter it in a way that politics just really can't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Mormon church is founded by 6 people.
I thought about all of this with regards to your question, and this is why I wanted to see if I could tunnel a third way. Maybe philosophy has put you where you are to engentle the hands of the religious, to remind them, as I did to, I saw one woman yelling at her kid and she had a cross, and I said, but didn't Jesus say that what you do to the least among you, so do you also do for me? You would never yell at Jesus, would you? And she blushed and she said, you're right. I know you're right. And we talked a little bit, and I pointed her some resources. Maybe that is what your third way is, to bring better parenting to the bosom of the church. And maybe that will do more to promote freedom than leaving.